What's up, guys? Sunday Thoughts Part 2. I realized I didn't really talk about what I wanted to talk about. And what I wanted to talk about, two things. Man, I love 8s on the Enneagram. And I'm just thinking this because there's two people that I've listened to recently. I'm trying to think if I should even mention their names, if it's worth it, or if that'll be a stumbling block for people. I don't know. If you want to know who I've been listening to lately that are most likely an 8 that I've been inspired by and fired up by, let me know. Comment, message me, and I'll let you know who I've been listening to. They're not Christians, but they're fired up, and you don't have any thought about where they stand. Whether I completely agree with them or not, I just appreciate and am refreshed by their bluntness. And you don't have to guess where they are. You don't think they're, wavering in their thought or their speech. You don't have to wonder if they're trying to be political and stuff like that and play both sides of the coin or whatever, or speak out of both sides of their mouth just to win votes or whatever. They don't care what you're thinking about them. They're just telling what they think right now. And so I appreciate that. So yeah, I've been thinking about the local church. What is the local church? I have heard pastors say before that the local church is the hope of the world. And I was like, you know what? Maybe. I don't think I really thought about it, but that kind of thought has been playing through my head recently. But I've had this thought about the local church. If we look at Acts 2, chapter 2, verse 42 to the end there, it's talking about what the gathering of believers looked like in the early church. And I know that, people say that Acts is a transitional book, so you can't get your theology off of it. I don't even understand that comment. I've heard a lot of people say that. Transition to what? To how we're doing church now, and how we're doing church now is better than how they were doing church then? I don't know. I don't know. So, yeah, anyway, so the church gathered originally for the advancement of the gospel. There were people that were being persecuted because they were preaching truth. They were going and doing missionary work. And that's how the church was birthed. And people were added to their number daily because they were out there preaching. They were doing. So, yeah, my thinking is a church, a local church, if there's not a proclamation and preaching of the gospel to others outside the walls of their church. I feel like that's the foundation of what a church is. If a church isn't doing that, is it a church or is it just a gathering? As I was cleaning today, I was just thinking about, what did Jesus do or say when he gathered his disciples? Did they sing some songs together? Did they, read the scriptures together? Or every time he gathered them, was he also gathering other people? And was he then sending people out to do something? So yeah, it's just interesting, kind of being in a couple different worlds. YWAM and the local church are different expressions of things. And I know that a lot of times YWAM and the local church haven't been able to connect. The church that I'm currently pastoring at, I think does a good job of embracing YWAMers and understands that YWAMers are here for a little bit and then they're going out and they may never come back. So that's hard for a lot of churches because there's just not that consistency. But I sometimes think that YWAM operates as a local church better than some local churches because we're gathered around the mission and the preaching of the gospel. Acts 2:42 to the end there says, and they met together every day. And so, yeah, I wonder if you can be a church without the proclamation of the gospel to people outside of your church. If that's not the central focus of things, then what's going on there? I met with a pastor in Tennessee. I was working with Pastor Jimmy Turner at the time, and we met with another pastor who I'm not going to name. He worked with another pastor that's kind of famous now. Famous pastors, that's funny, but I mean it's true. So we were just sitting with him and kind of picking his brain, And he said something that at the time I was just kind of like, oh, interesting. I don't know what I think of that. And he was just like, I don't want to sit around and like hold someone's hand and listen to their problems. That's what he said. That's not me saying that. That's what he said. And I was like, oh, isn't that what you're supposed to do? And he said something else. He's just like, there's been a guy that's been walking with me for 10 years that's been on my leadership team, and for the first time, I didn't think that something that he brought to the table was in alignment with my vision, and I greeted him, and we decided that at a meeting, and he was a little bit huffy about it, and when I saw him at church on the front row the next week, I stuck out my hand, and the guy wouldn't make eye contact with me, and like wouldn't even extend his hand. And I was just like, oh man, that's crazy to think about. And so I wonder if a lot of the problems that we have in churches with people and getting their feelings hurt and stuff like that is a lack of mission. When I feel like I'm full of purpose, I'm not looking inward, and I'm not worrying about if someone is, meeting my needs, because I'm too busy trying to figure out how am I going to fulfill the call of God in my life, and how am I going to, do the things that God's calling me to. And so I'm willing to sacrifice in view of the mission. But if I don't feel like there's a mission in front of me, then I want to think about myself and what I prefer and what I find pleasurable and what will bring me satisfaction. So again, that just goes hand in hand with what I'm thinking about when it comes to church, local church, and the expression of church and mission. And is a local church a church if church to me is defined in Acts 2:42 that they were gathering? The church was birthed out of a mission to get the gospel to the whole earth. So I don't know. That's another thought that I've been thinking about. Yeah, what's your purpose? Do you feel like you are keyed in on that purpose? Yeah, I feel like I have another thought too, but it's escaping my mind right now. Probably just something about preference, and I don't know. All right, so those are my thoughts. Local church, missions. Let's get people plugged into the call that God has on our lives to do something, and that's going to probably stop us from being so self-focused. So I'm going to chat with my buddy RK. We've been kind of chatting back and forth about this a little bit. Here soon, we'll do a Facebook Live together. He has been kind of talking about the 5 levels of discipleship, and he just said if you are an infant or a child, it's all about you. And in that discipleship process, you're going to be asking questions, and you're going to be hearing statements like, well, I'm not getting fed here. And so I'm super interested for him to expound on those thoughts. Yeah, I think there's a great call for all of us to really grow up in the Lord. So there it is. All right, Sunday Thoughts Part 2. Comment and let me know what you think. I don't stand by these thoughts 100%. They're just thoughts I'm having. Appreciate you guys. Have a happy Sunday.